Paul Dottino back at the Combine in Indianapolis with our next Giants Insider. It is Jim Miller of SiriusXM NFL Radio. You always hear him moving the chains, and, of course, this is sponsored by Hellmann's, the official mayonnaise of the New York Giants. Look, if we're not talking quarterbacks with this guy, we are just missing the boat. And for those of you who don't have SiriusXM NFL Radio, we're going to dive into this position because, Jim, everybody says unanimous top 3 quarterbacks. They'll all be gone probably before the Giants pick. So I'm going to ask you this. How deep is that separation to the next group? McCarthy seems to get a lot of ink. And where should the Giants seriously consider start thinking about it?
Well, it sounds like 5 guys are going to go in the first round. You know, obviously the top 3 guys are probably going to go quick, and I'm a big fan of Michael Penix, and you just hear a lot of love for J.J. McCarthy out of Michigan, and I think McCarthy is probably going to go in the top 20 as well. So maybe a guy like that could be in the wheelhouse where, you know, for Michael Penix out of Washington, a lot of it's going to depend on his medical. I just know what I've watched on tape with him, what I saw down in Mobile, Alabama for the Reese's Senior Bowl. That ball gets out of his hand, and he throws a really good ball, a very catchable ball. I think from the neck up, he's very sharp. He's very talented. Granted, he's probably not as mobile as the other guys. He's more of a pocket guy, but yet he can shuffle in the pocket and move his feet. But those top 3 guys are legit, and they're going to go early. Probably they'll come off the board those first 3 picks.
Right.
I think we all assume that. And then it's where those other 2 guys fall. I think your teams may have to trade up and target who they want, whether it's McCarthy or Penix.
So if the Giants sit at 6, I don't know. I just think that a lot of people think the other quarterbacks would be overvalued at 6. If you had to pass there and go after a tackle or go after a wide receiver and decided to wait till the second round to get a quarterback, could Bo Nix possibly be there? Is there someone there who's a good enough prospect for you?
Well, I think when you look at Bo Nix, he's played a lot of football. All right, he's played over 60 games, which is a lot of he's been 6 years in college. But you have to understand, when you play 6 years, imagine a quarterback playing 6 years in the NFL. That's kind of your ceiling, right? So I think what you see from Bo Nix out of Oregon, that's about as good as it's going to get. And he's plateaued, he's reached his ceiling. And I'm not downgrading him. He's a good player because he's come with that experience. But just know that's about where his ceiling is right now, and that's what you're going to get. I think that'd be even overvalued at 2, in my opinion. Okay,
let's say top 3 rounds. Is there a sleeper quarterback on your board who you really kind of got an eye on, but maybe other people aren't as thrilled with?
I do like Michael Pratt from Tulane. I think he's got some game to him. Spencer Rattler, I struggle with him because he is a smaller guy. You know,
he is
a guy who probably needs to sit and wait a little bit is a guy like Joe Milton, who's got all the tools in the world from Tennessee, and I think he could be, you know, but he can't play. He's got to sit and wait. You know, his time at Michigan, his time at Tennessee, I think he learned a lot from Hendon Hooker. Actually, I had a great conversation with him because Hendon Hooker would actually wake up at 4 in the morning and just go through all his bad tape because it bothered him when he didn't play well. And I think some of that is rubbed off on Joe Milton, who's got a ton of talent, a ton of upside, but he needs to sit and learn for a little bit. There's other guys that could be late when you look at the South Alabama quarterback, when you look at Gus Bradley's son, who, you know, he was down in Mobile. But, you know, as always, there's some dark horses there, but, you know, those guys aren't ready to play. A lot of these guys aren't ready to play. They got to marinate a little bit.
All right, well, there's the lowdown on the quarterbacks from a guy who played quarterback in the National Football League, Jim Miller from SiriusXM NFL Radio. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
And that's it for this edition of the Giants Insider.